Welcome to LARP Academia. Today we're going to talk about what you get as a 4th level druid. And being a druid, I'm of course out in the elements, wearing as little as possible because I need to be one with nature, even if that means I turn into a popsicle without the use of Icy Blast. Now the first spell that you get is an enchantment. Surprise, surprise, I know. This enchantment is called Flameblade. Now, despite me wanting to light this sword in order to keep myself warm, Flameblade is where you don't actually have to light a sword. It does, however, thematically make all your weapons on fire. Now what this does is it makes you immune to flame and your weapons immune to flame. So if a fireball comes and hits your weapon, hey, it's not broken. Now there are some enchantments that make you immune to flame, like Gift of Fire, and you can bat away that fireball, but if you have armor or if you have weapons and you block with that weapon or you block with armor, it still affects your equipment because your equipment's not immune. Now, while Flameblade does not make your shield and your armor immune, Flameblade is awesome. It makes it so you're able to just block those fireballs and lightning bolts. You're able to hand block them too. You're able to booty bump, whatever you want to do. You are able to block them. Again, as long as you don't have armor. Now the secondary effect of Flameblade is that it gives you armor breaking and shield crushing with all melee weapons, which is, it's pretty good. You pretty much have all melee covered at that point. You can just say, oh, you have a shield? Die. Unless you're a warrior, then you're annoying. Or you could be like you have armor? Poke. And you just poke them and then they get their armor broken. You're like a barbarian, but you're able to actually use it with Flameblade and just be cooler than a barbarian because they just are always angry and you're like, I have a fire sword. And we all know that fire swords are way cooler. Now you may be wondering, Wizzo, this enchantment does a lot. It seems pretty awesome. Why is it not purple? Why is it not a must take? Why is it only blue? And I would actually say that it's veering more towards green, which is kind of strange learning about how much it does. And the answer is simple. Instead of your normal enchantments that cost 1 point, it costs 2 points per purchase. It's pretty harsh. That means if you want to get 2 Flameblades, that's 4 points of magic. I mean, you could get 4 enchantments instead of 2. So it's a hard justification, but Flameblade is very powerful. That's why it's most of the time justified. It's not a must buy, but if you have a bunch of melee fighters and they're not all barbarians, then you could probably feel safe taking this and giving it to almost anyone. It's a good spell on a normal spell list, and it's pretty powerful. One of your more powerful enchantments for sure. Now your next thing that you get as a 4th level druid, well, your next purchase option, is a longsword. Now longswords are cool thematically. They're awesome. You could be a Jedi, be like Obi-Wan, whatever. I can't remember what the stance was. I think it was like this. Soresu. You could go Ataru, whatever. You can then pretend it's a lightsaber. I mean, there are some wizards who pretend to make Jedi builds because of longswords, because they're so cool. But a longsword is good at poking for a distance. If I poke you from here, haha, see that reach? It's pretty awesome. But if I get up here, I don't even have it down this far. I have it here, and it's not easy. It's also not easy to recover if people get in close. And the thing with Amtgard is that most combat is skirmishes. We don't really have lines because magic kind of destroys a little bit of conventional warfare. I mean, if you have a line of people, that means that the wizards or the people with offensive magic just go, oh, targets. And then they just start hurling spells at those targets who aren't moving. So it's very easy. That's why we try to stay more skirmish-like, more mobile. And when you do that, you're going to be engaging in a lot more one-on-one combat or a lot of one-on-two, and mobility is more important because we're swinging essentially lightsabers instead of real swords. I mean, this shot is just as effective as taking your whole body to deal this much damage for a normal weapon. So you don't need to stay in lines. People don't stay in lines as much. Poking isn't as important, especially since you already have spells. So when you take a longsword, you really have to be cautious about people getting in close, which is why I would consider it green. It's an option, it's a good option, but it's not taken more than a short sword, primarily because it's 4th level spells, which is you're spending 4th level magic. And 2, because debatably, it's not as good as a short sword. That's just my take on it, but it is green because some people do like it. I have seen it used, and it is a very viable weapon. It's just not the go-to weapon. Now, we talked about poking people from afar with a little longsword, and we talked about the issues why the longsword's not the go-to weapon. When people get in close, you're going to have some issues. But you don't need a longsword. You have another way to poke. Another way to poke is with Forcebolts. Now, one other class does get Forcebolt, wizards, and yes, they get it at 1st level, and they get 3 spell balls per purchase up to 4 times, which means at 1st level they could carry on 12 of these bad boys, and you get it at 4th level. You get 2 spell balls per purchase, and you can only buy it twice, so you can carry up to 4 Forcebolts. Now you're thinking, Wizzo, that seems pretty bad, and while it's not preferable, you are now able to actually kill people from a distance with spell balls, pick them up, and then throw them again. You are the only class aside from wizard that can do this. You don't have lightning bolts, fireballs, spheres, you don't have all those crazy things, but you do have force bolts. Now, force bolts are blocked by shields. That sucks, but that's just the truth of it. However, for those people that have 2 weapons, they're easy prey. Or just, no shields or no secondary weapon, they're even easier. Now, force bolts are weapon destroying, armor breaking, like the Flameblade we just discussed earlier, and wounding. So if you hit someone with a force bolt in the arm, it's just like getting hit with a sword strike if they have no armor, which is awesome. If they have armor, it's better than hitting them with a sword, unless you have a Flameblade, because it has armor breaking. It's pretty good. And again, you can pick them up and throw them again. They're actually a decent poking ball. Now, why they're green and not any higher is because, yes, there are some issues. A lot of people like shields. We've talked about how shields are extremely powerful in Amtgard, and they are. They're ridiculously powerful, and that's why most people take them, so a force bolt won't affect a shield, just like a weapon won't affect a shield. They don't destroy shields. They don't do anything spectacular. They're not the best spell ball, but they're a good option to poke with. So while some druids don't take force bolts, some do, and it's a great option to take in case you want to be able to still harm someone from a distance. And if you can kill someone from far away before they even get to you, that's pretty good. The next spell that we have up for you is an enchantment. Whew, I know. Non-enchantment's getting confusing there. Scary for a druid, I know. But you're getting an enchantment now. And that enchantment is Gift of Water. Now, if you look around, it is snowing. It might be hard to see on the camera, but it is lightly snowing, so that I can just take the water and then I can just throw it on people. You don't need to do that. But Gift of Water is a strange enchantment. It provides the abilities of your 1st level enchantment, Barkskin, giving that nice point of armor. Okay, that's all right. The problem with Barkskin is that it's just a point of armor. It's not ancestral, and if you're hit, you lose it from that location, and you could get wounded, and what are you going to do? You're going to call for a healer, and it's not the best. Gift of Water makes you more self-sustaining. It gives you that 1 point of armor. Oh, that's pretty good. And it lets you be able to heal unlimited times on yourself. Now, it sounds great on paper. It sounds great where, I got legged, I got hit twice. Well, I'm able to heal it, and if I'm a warrior, I can scavenge to get my stuff back. But, when you really think about practical uses, and when you compare it to all the other enchantments we've gotten thus far, and it's a 4th level enchantment, most druids don't want to take it. They'd rather take something like Forcebolt even, or anything else, to be honest. And Gift of Water, it has its place. I've used it before, other druids have used it before, but upon using it, you realize that it's just... Druid enchants pack a hard punch most of the time. They're meant to be a bright flame that burns out quickly, and you need to cradle that flame. You need to make it work. And really, Gift of Water is just a small little dribble of water from a sink, and it's not as bright. It's not as powerful. It doesn't make you last as long or destroy as much as the other ones do. And it's not the best enchantment. It's not even a great enchantment. It's okay. And if you have some extra spell points left over at 4th, you could put it in Gift of Water. or you could roll it down to other levels. It's your choice, but most of the time people roll it down. Our next purchasing option is a purple one. Ooh, a must buy. Interesting. We finally have one of those for this level. And yes, it is called Golem. From earth and clay, you shape an actual golem and you send it out. Well, what I do is I actually take some dirt and I rub it on a person's face, and then I enchant them with Golem. I use components for all my enchants. It's fun. You don't have to, but I highly recommend it. Now, when shaping someone into a Golem, what that does is it makes it so that they are cursed. Okay, they can't be healed. Pretty crappy, but they can be healed. How they're healed, though, is through mending. They are now not a person. They're an automaton of your choosing. So, I mean, they can still technically retain their individuality. That's a design flaw in my opinion. But you are able to make them into a more mechanical thing. So if they lose their arm, you can use the mend spell, which you probably have an experience from level 1, and you can mend to get their arm back. So how that would work. Let's say I'm armed. I make this arm again, 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 I make this arm whole again. Oh, it's back. Oh, great job. And then I can mend their armor or whatever else. But mend heals wounds. Pretty cool. It also makes that person immune to death. Also, pretty cool. You're getting an immunity out of this. This is sounding great. But here's what makes it purple. Golem, along with all the enchantments on this individual, are persistent. Now, we haven't talked about persistent as a druid because you're a bright flame that burns out. You give your enchants, you give them out, and people are just, oh yeah, we're so happy, we're so strong, and then you sit there after about 20 minutes and you realize, I maybe should have tried to pace those out, or I maybe should have gotten a few more poisons. Golem is your main way to keep those bright and powerful enchantments going. Now, Golem is where you could, if you remember a tune, give a person Golem and then something else. Let's say Golem, attune, stone skin. Now they will always have 2 points of armor. Well, that's amazing. You give it to, let's say, a warrior who didn't wear any armor. Now they have the ability to either repair their armor or heal a limb because Scavenge acts as mend. I know a lot of these abilities synergize with warriors without armor because, well, let's face it, again, in our Is Magic Overpowered video, down in the link below, it talks about how many martial classes do not have armor. This is why this is an awesome combination. If a warrior does have armor, you could just say, you know, there's a lot of fireballs going around. There's a lot of lightning bolts that are stopping you, so I'm going to give you that nice little Flameblade. And then you give them permanent Flameblade. A warrior with armor breaking and shield crushing. What is the world coming to? Enemy need a flame. And it's persistent. Now, persistent is... It just means that when you die or are resurrected, your enchantments stay. Normally what happens when you die, your enchantments become inactive, and if you're resurrected, normally, not great to resurrect, or you respawn, your enchantments go away. Persist gets around that. That's why people like to stack stuff on these golems. And we'll talk about how you can stack things on golems later. But the important thing to remember when you golem someone is that while it cannot be yourself, you cannot golem yourself ever. I know it's confusing, but we'll talk about that at 6th level why. You cannot ever golem yourself. You want to babysit that golem. They're your little baby because they are your ticket to being still this awesomely overpowered person. They're the ticket to make people say that, oh man, druid enchants are broken, because you're going to make that you're going to make those enchants last for 30 minutes if possible, or even longer, who knows. Now, Golem is susceptible because when someone says Golem, anyone who can dispel instantly hears that, and they just turn around and they say, wait, you said Golem? Yep. My fire's both better. And they just start going right away and they start hunting this Golem. So you might have to go around and play Guardian for the Golem, protect your Golem. And you might just be behind them. All right. I have releases ready because they might try to lightning bolt hit the shield if they didn't have Flameblade on and they had stone skin, but they block with their shield because they don't understand ancestral armor. And then when it hits their shield, they're stopped for 60 seconds and people just start dispelling them. You might need to be like, no, and throw an ice ball and stop them, or icy blast them, or release your Golem, or do whatever you need to in order to keep that Golem alive. Because while these enchantments are powerful, the person using it is susceptible to all kinds of stuff. And everyone wants to get rid of Golem once they hear Golem because they know That is what makes your Druid enchantments so ridiculous. I mean, you don't want to fight someone coming back with Stone Skin every time. You don't. So you want to get that dispelled. So watch your Golem. It is powerful, but you will need to play babysitter every now and then. Oh! Lycanthropy. You turn someone into a werewolf. Oh, we've always wanted it. It also has a cool enchantment. Stalked in the forest, too close to hide. I'll be upon thee by the moonlight side. It's pretty awesome, or at least it sounds pretty awesome. And it really is, because it gives that person 2 points of magical armor. Non-ancestral, so if armor breaking hits them, it goes away. But it's 2 points of magical armor and gives them shield crushing. Oh, didn't we just get bear strength last level that gave us shield crushing? Yes. And you have an enchantment that now gives you 2 points of armor and shield crushing. Oh, that sounds so amazing. It's actually pretty good already, but the benefits don't stop there. It also gives you an immunity. I know, it gives you an immunity to command. It's pretty good overall. It's a very good enchantment. The only thing keeping this enchantment back from being purple and always taken is that the enchantment gives just 2 points of magical armor. It's not ancestral. And because of that, sometimes people say, I want Stone Skin instead. Now, it is only blue because, again, the not having ancestral magical armor is a pretty big thing. And immune to command is great, and immunity is always great. But it makes you immune to pretty much most bard spells, a decent bit of healer spells. They have a lot of subdual as well. Any verbals, though, it pretty much makes you immune to them. And a few wizard spells, but it's nothing like Enlightened Soul that monks get, which just make you immune to yes. It doesn't stop spell balls either, any spell balls. So immune to command is nice, don't get me wrong, but it's not the best immunity in the world. And your extra effect, I mean, is it really that powerful comparatively to everything else that you could get? And you're seeing that there's all these, it sounds great on paper, but it's not a must take, because there's just few areas where it falls a little bit short here and there. While it could reach this area to be purple, it's a little bit short here, a little bit short there, and it's an extra ability, but it's not the best ability in the world. So take Lycanthropy if you want. It is an excellent enchantment to have. It's 2 points of magical armor regardless, even if you're not going to use the other 2, which is great. And you get to turn someone into a werewolf. I make people howl when I do this enchant, otherwise I don't give them the enchantment. I say, stalked in the forest, too close to hide, I'll be upon thee by the moonlight side, howl. And if they don't howl, they don't get the enchantment. You could do that too. You could have fun with it and be as flirty as you wish, or I mean, I guess you could just enchant, whatever. But it is your choice. Have fun with werewolves. And, well, have fun with lycanthropy and turning people into werewolves. Your next purchase option is not an enchantment. Whew, I know we've been through a few enchantments now in a row. It is your meta magic for this level. Now, we've talked about Nate, and it's We've talked about Extension, and it's also because there's just not much to do with those. Experience, pretty good overall. It makes it so that you're able to experience important spells like Mend, especially for Golem, Mend. But there is possibly an even better meta magic that you get at this level, and that is Swift. Now, Swift makes you either say the last line of an incant, so for healing, instead of, let me read this paragraph to you. No, it's just Swift, the white light of he not heal thee. Pretty good, all right, especially in a pinch. But what it also does is it lets you use the last iteration of a spell. So if you're going to werewolf someone and you say, Swift, stalked in the forest, too close to hide, I'll be upon thee by the moonlight side. They're a werewolf now. You don't need to go through it 3 times like normal. Now, Swift is very important for a druid, not only for Swift Forcebolting or Swift healing here and there, but in the beginning of the game, it's huge. A problem that most druids have is, especially at this level, you have enough points where, oh man, I need to get all my enchants off to enchant my team. The other team, though, is coming at you, especially if it's a small game where there's about 5 people and 5 people. They know that they need to disrupt your enchants. They know that they need to silence you, they need to shove you, they need to stun you, they need to kill you, they need to do whatever they can to stop you from enchanting your team right away, so that maybe they could deal with 1 enchant here and there from other people instead of an entirely enchanted team. Swift helps you pull some of those enchants off. Swift, manage protective form attack. Swift, suck the force who's too close to hide, I'll be upon them by the moonlit side. And then you go to the next people. That's 2 enchantments right there that are just done. And those 2 people can be in front, they can start fighting, they can try to disrupt those people who are going to try to do something to you. They might be able to defend you. Swift is very important for getting your enchantments out. And it is also useful throughout the entirety of the game. Now, you cannot use Swift on a verbal greater than the range of touch, or, well, anything greater than the range of touch, but you can use it on just about anything. So, it also has a long-lasting effect that you're able to use it for. You're able to use it for heal and all the other stuff that we talked about throughout the entire game. That's why Swift is extremely important, especially because some of your most powerful spells, release and heal, are long, or at least powerful per life spells that are touch are a long incant. Release is a ×5, heal is a paragraph. I mean, Swift is just amazing. You should always take it as a druid. It will help you possibly win the game. Now, the last purchasing option for you is teleport. Whew, teleport. It's great. It's really bad for druid. Now, I'll go into why. Please don't erupt into just hatred and everything, but let me go into why I say that it is great and terrible for druid. Teleport, for most classes, is the main way to get out of trouble. For wizards, they would swift teleport, so they would go. For healers, if they really have an issue, they could swift teleport, or I mean, they could circle protection too, but they could swift teleport. Now, let me go over why teleport will be different for those and why it's terrible for you. For wizards, that's their only real way to escape. They need to teleport and run. For, well, they may have some other ways, but teleport's probably the best way. Swift teleport, out. For healers, they can swift teleport and get out, yes, but they also have circle of protection, so they're able to have a chargeable defensive bit. For you, you have an even better one. Instead of it being charge ×10 and it takes a few lines to complete, you have, I take the form of stone. And you can release yourself at any time. The earth release to be, rah! Run. And you're frozen. You're not insubstantial. It's not easy to take someone out of stone form. It's actually a huge deal when a bunch of people get around you. And I mean, you'd have to be in a terrible situation. So it's, stone form is really good. And it's charge ×3. Charge ×3. It's really good. That's why you should take it. And teleport is, I mean, you can use it to run, but you've probably already used your swift on something else. You probably want to use it on something else. And really, you could just turn and run. You could just turn and run. You don't need to say swift I travel through the ether. You could just turn and run with your team because you're probably not on the front lines. Or if you are, you have enchantments. We'll talk about that at 6th level. But you're not going to just die by being hit once. You're able to get out of there and your own legs can help carry you. And if not, stone form can probably buy you the time for your teammates to come and save you. So teleport really isn't that good. Now you're thinking, well, what if I teleport other people? Okay, if you're going to know what the game type is, if you know that there's castles, if you know that you have barbarians on your side, if you've coordinated with these people that I'm going to teleport you and bring you in, then yeah, sure, okay. You could do that, but I mean, wizards probably have teleport, healers might have teleport, and you probably don't need to deal with teleport overall. I mean, they probably have it, they're probably already coordinating this stuff. You can if you really want, but it's just not that great for a druid because you have better spells, better options, and other people who don't have as good of options like stone form will probably be taking teleport, so they'll be able to utilize it however they want. That's why teleport is not that good for druids, and really, druids don't take teleport that often. And that's the reason why. Now, I hope that you enjoyed our little tidbit on what you get at 4th level as a druid. I probably should not become one with nature again because I really am almost turning into a popsicle. And with that, I want to say, keep LARPing, stay warm, happy holidays, and enjoy what you get at 4th level. Cold.